All right, welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 353. And this episode of What's Right with Nick Wright is brought to you by Boost Mobile. A ton to get to today. Some very fun topics, a very serious topic right off the top. Before we get to any of that, however, let me welcome in Damonza. Damonza, great to see you.
Good to see you,
the major development, it feels like, in the ongoing saga of your soon-to-be snake family, which is you added a surveillance camera to the incubator.
Yep,
that's pretty cool. So, yeah, can you watch it from your phone when you're at work?
I can watch it from my phone when I'm at work. The motion sensor thing's a little messed up. It shows motion when I'm looking for egg motion, but it's like the lighting has changed in the background. So we got to figure out how to
too sensitive.
Tell. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, too sensitive is probably good.
Quick question, and then we'll get to the important stuff. Not that this isn't important. If you check your phone and there is a snake being, hatching, I guess. Do you think you'll leave work? Yeah. Will you leave work? Here's the thing.
I live really close
enough that you could just be like, got to go out for a second.
Yeah.
Go in and then come back. Whatever it is, I'm very excited about it.
100%. Me too. I think, but yeah, no, I would leave it there. I wouldn't leave just because it would need time to come all the way out. If there was a problem, I'm leaving. Like if something,
yeah, 100%. Of course, yeah. I mean, it'd be almost criminal if you didn't. And what do we think? Another 2 more weeks?
What's it? June, August 15th.
Yeah, so 2 weeks.
Like at the latest, yeah.
Last question. So you spent time this weekend getting the surveillance set up, checking on the snakes, all of that. Did you write your little sister a letter?
Why'd you do this on the podcast?
I know it. Nobody's written her letters. I've sent her emails. The only person who's written her letters is my mom, who's written her a letter every day. But that's not so it is what it is. She hasn't written us letters, so you know what?
She's having fun. I got the report. She was doing great.
Yeah, she's doing great. It's all good. All right, time now for Straight to Voicemail, brought to you by our great friends at Boost Mobile, who also bring you this entire episode of What's Right with Nick Wright. Here's a serious but uplifting note. Deion Sanders found out while he was being checked. So Deion Sanders has some vascular issues, which is why he's lost some toes. So he gets checked on that regularly. In the check on that, they noticed something maybe a little amiss, so they sent him to a urologist. They did a check there. They noticed something really amiss, and they're like, you have aggressive bladder cancer. He then had his bladder removed, I guess, and says he's totally cancer-free, and then used his platform to really encourage people to go to the doctor to get checked out, all of that, and had an unbelievable quote when one of the reporters asked him about staring death in the face, and he said, I didn't stare death in the face, I stared life in the face. And then he had such a Deion quote where he's like, I'm God's guy. It was so fun. It was such an outrageous thing, but also awesome. And he was like, God put me here for a reason, to entertain and inspire and teach. And he really believes it. And by the way, if you've led the life Deion has led, which is one of the greatest college football players ever, one of the greatest, maybe the single greatest defensive NFL player ever, while also being a pretty damn good baseball player, very successful, charismatic in the media, and then reinventing what's possible in collegiate coaching from the HBCU level to Colorado. And he's got a couple of sons trying to make the NFL. I don't blame him for feeling like, I'm
God's guy.
I'm special like that. Yeah, I'm God's guy. But those are the things from Deion that not only make it impossible not to like him, but you just root for him. And I thought he used that platform really well yesterday. So I liked that. Travis Kelce was in Happy Gilmore 2. I have not seen it. And now we have a potential controversy. So LaMelo Ball, who was, posted that he got hot Cheeto tattoo feet. I don't need hot Cheetos. It would be the worst tattoo I've ever seen in the world. The worst. It would be tattooing all 5 of your toes the exact color of hot Cheetos with little flames above them. And it was put out there by a tattoo artist. Later that day, the tattoo artist said, we were just trolling. We did do a full leg sleeve on Melo, but we didn't, and he then showed that, but we didn't do the toes. Here's all I'm going to say, Damonza. I have two takes on this. One is, you know how like the Raiders just cut Christian Wilkins and they're trying to not pay him his guaranteed money, and it's because of very shaky reporting about odd locker room behavior plus not rehabbing his foot, and they're like, you know what, you're not good for the team. If I had if I owned a team and one of my players got that tattoo, I would try to avoid their guaranteed money. I'd be like, you can't be trusted in any way, shape, or form. I just can't. Like, I don't know what we're going to call it, but we're going to have a grievance. But here's the thing. The tattoo artist said I was trolling. I did give LaMelo a leg sleeve, but I was trolling. I just want to be on the record that I am giving it a less than 10, but greater than 1% chance that LaMelo did actually get those toe hot Cheeto tattoos, saw the reaction to the tattoo artist posting it, was like, bro, you've got to tell people that was fake. And he's now just committed to never being shoeless in public again. Because when we saw the leg sleeve, I just noticed two important context clues. One, he was wearing socks, so we were not able to see his feet. And two, the red in the leg sleeve looks identical
like it's going into
to the red. Well, it just was the same color. It just is the same shade. So I'm just getting on the record that I think it's unlikely Melo got the worst tattoo I've ever seen, but I'm not saying it's impossible. So I just want to be on the record about that. Does that all seem fair? I know LaMelo's your guy.
LaMelo's my guy, yeah, dude. He's a gifted hooper, but yeah. 100%.
All right, reminder to everyone, like, rate, subscribe, review to the YouTube channel, iTunes, Spotify. Hit the thumbs up, hit the bell, do all those things. It helps us quite a bit. I want to quickly address right off the top the shooting in New York City yesterday. It's a very scary and incredibly sad thing that happened. So the latest reporting is as follows. A young man who, pretty clearly was dealing with some significant mental illness and was believed, I guess, that football caused it, showed up to the NFL headquarters at 345 Park Avenue with a semi-automatic rifle and tried to go to the floor the NFL headquarters are at, went to the wrong floor, and killed a handful of people before killing himself. This is, as bad and as sad as it gets. There was a police officer in the lobby who was killed. There were obviously a handful of innocent people who were killed. And I always feel conflicted is the wrong word, but the guy the murderer here is obviously a massive villain, but also someone that at least, I don't know, you almost empathize with in a weird way because he was lost. You know what I mean? His brain was broken. Well, I don't know why his brain was broken, but his brain was broken and he lost his mind. I'm not going to do what some of you might expect me to do, which is give a whole thing on my feelings on the accessibility of people, any people, much less people with documented mental illness, to be able to get those types of weapons. I'm on the record about that, and I don't need to get into it further. And I'm not going to act like there's any real insight over whether or not, his mental illness was caused by CTE as he thought, as he wrote in his little manifesto or letter or whatever it is. because I don't really actually think that matters a ton in the moment, in the here and now. What I will simply say is, it is an unspeakable tragedy, and I, as cliche as this sounds, man, and I know I've said this a handful of times before, and maybe I should have ended the show instead of starting the show with this, and we'll just spend another 60 seconds on it because I don't have any deep, profound insight, but I felt like an idiot if I didn't at least acknowledge it. It happened in the city I live. It happened, we're going to be talking about the NFL later. There was someone that works with the NFL who was shot, but it looks like he's going to be okay. Just check on your people and tell them you love them. Not because I'm not saying because some of your people might be in the position the shooter was in. What I'm saying is because, man, life can be cruelly random and cruelly short. And everyone hearing this right now and, me talking right now, we are fortunate in that wheel hasn't spun and hit us. And so in the meantime, take advantage of those moments. That's always what I think about when something like this happens, just the utter randomness. And when you hear like this guy just went to the wrong elevator, like went to the wrong floor, but it's the wrong floor. I know that sounds ridiculous. The point is, it's just totally random. Just the people who were killed yesterday, it was just totally random. A million items in a sequence of events had to happen, and now their families' lives are changed forever and they're gone. And so just incredibly sad, and thoughts, and if you're the prayerful type, prayers for anyone affected by that yesterday here in Manhattan. All right, sorry, tough transition, but I did want to do that off the top. As I'm redoing this in my head, if I was going to actually do it off the top, should I have done it before we did 5 minutes on hot Cheetos tattoos? Probably, but you know what? Work in progress on the pod at times. Damonza, let's talk about the boat picture heard around the world.
Jokic's agent was posted with Maverick Carter and your guy LeBron James on a boat in France. And the photo caption was, "The summer of 2025 is the perfect time to make big plans for the fall of 2026. Very specific. You said there's a 0% chance that he goes over to Denver. Why is that? Why can that not happen?
Okay. Because it's not going to happen. So
here is,
well, I'll explain what's up with the caption. But this is one of those, I am going to need the audience to just trust me that when I rarely say I know this for a fact, but when I say it, it's not speculation, and it means I have, about something like this, information that is not publicly accessible, so to speak. I'm not like reading someone else's report. I know for a fact that the idea that LeBron next offseason is going to sign with the Denver Nuggets is pure and utter fantasy. Now, if you want to say it would be awesome, sure. If you want to say he should, no problem. If you want to say it'd be fun, why not? All those things. I'm here to tell you, and by the way, as me, someone who obviously would like to see LeBron win it, every year he has left, win a championship, I wouldn't hate it at all. I'm simply telling you it's not going to happen. So, and I'm here to tell you that caption was not about LeBron. And this is where it is. So everything I have said there are things I know unequivocally, definitively. I know that LeBron will not be a Denver Nugget next year. I know that caption was not about LeBron James specifically. I know those things. what I say from this point moving forward is, call it informed speculation, but not something I can say unequivocally I know. So what was it all about? And the answer to that is Maverick Carter, who at times gets, I think, unintentionally dismissed as, Maverick Carter, LeBron's best friend, or Maverick Carter, LeBron's business manager. Those are accurate titles, but it far undersells who Maverick Carter is at this point in the sports world and really the business world. And so now listen, again, my job's never not to be unbiased. My job is simply to, make sure the audience knows my biases. It is absolutely fair, and the audience should know, I consider Mav a dear friend. I can separate that from what I'm talking about here, but you guys should know that if you didn't already. And of everyone, I know there's a lot of internet speculation about my relationships with LeBron and the people, in LeBron's orbit, and Rich and Randy, Mav specifically. Unequivocal, and even though I do a little business kind of with Rich, the person in that circle that I am far and away the tightest with is Mav. And so you guys can have that information, but it does not impact what I'm about to tell you here. What I'm about to tell you here is Mav has established himself as a legitimate force in the business world. If you were to, I don't know that he has a LinkedIn, but if you were to check the board of directors that he's on, the long list of them, the people that he has real relationships with inside and outside of sports, and what he has built himself professionally. The reason I say all of that is to say he is not fucking around with this league he is attempting to build. This F1 style traveling event-based basketball league. And so, when you see Nikola Jokic's agent, who is also the agent of another dozen or so NBA players, and maybe more importantly, more than 100 European basketball players, talk about the summer of 2025 is a great time to make plans for the fall of 2026. That is not about LeBron and Joker playing together. That is, and again, this is my speculation. This is not something I know, but this is my read. That is about the league Maverick is trying to put together. And the full details on that league are at this point a little hazy. Would that league be trying to directly compete with the NBA? My guess would be no. But again, I want to be very careful on this stuff, because I think people will assume on certain things, people assume I know way less than I do, which is always fine. That doesn't bother me. But where it can get tricky is if people assume I know way more than I do, and they read more into my speculation as reportage, which this part is not. But that was about trying to set up what would be a very interesting new way to present professional basketball. And now, and this is the blindest of all the speculation, I couldn't help but look at, and poor Daniel, our producer, who's a diehard Denver Nugget fan, who maybe started this pod with the hopes that LeBron and Joker were going to one day play together for the Nuggets, and now I'm going to end the segment with
I don't know if Daniel wants him on the Nuggets.
Well, Daniel, you can put it in the chat.
I don't think Daniel wants him on the Nuggets.
Well, let's see, another season where they don't make round 3, maybe you'd feel a little differently. And so, but regardless, here's what I do know. Daniel definitely wants Joker on the Nuggets. And,
Yeah.
did I watch Joker overcome with emotion watching his horse win that race and think about, what I bet Joker would really enjoy? A job where he's not in Denver 8 months a year. And if there were a way for him to one day continue to make huge money playing professional basketball while having a lighter schedule and having more, and not necessarily being stationed and anchored to the Midwest of the United States for more than half the year, could that be attractive to him? Maybe. And so I think I'm very curious to see exactly what Mav tries to build. And I'm very curious, as so many of the best players in the NBA start to skew international, for how many of those international guys at some point in their career, or for a year of their career, or at the tail end of their career, they might be like, yeah, that is more attractive to me than the current setup. I don't know, because I don't know exactly what the setup of Mavs thing's going to be, but it's real, and it's coming down the tracks. All right, you can ask me those couple follow-ups, Damonza.
Yeah, so I mean, they were on the boat and they were catching fish.
Yeah.
You were on the boat this weekend.
Don't worry. Hold on. Don't worry about the fish one. You can ask me about. You ask me the first couple.
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, why can't LeBron go to Denver?
So he can. So this is the thing I want to make clear. He could. He's not going to. Like there is if the Lakers and Nuggets were to have in this year, similar years they had last year, both make the playoffs, both get knocked out relatively early, and the Nuggets, even though I like the offseason they had this year, they don't have a ton of flexibility as far as salary, cap space and all that stuff. They would, of course, he could go there. It's just not going to happen. And a reminder to everyone that when everyone was criticizing LeBron for opting into the contract that he had signed with the Lakers, when they were saying, oh, he could have opted out and signed with anyone for the minimum. And I said, had he done that, he would have been immediately across the board criticized for some fraudulent ring chasing, stacking the deck. You got to see a little sneak preview of that for a few hours this weekend when people thought that's what that caption was about. And the immediate reaction was, that would be a fake ring. That wouldn't count. Even Daniel wrote in our doc, he can come ring chase if he wants. Like, got it. Like, so we all knew that would be coming, but we got to see that in very real time here. All right,
And
one
my
more
next
follow-up
one
before we move on.
Is it a crime to be emotionally invested in your hobbies? I mean, he cried after this horse won the race. He was like, we get to go home now after we won the finals. Or after he won the finals.
No, listen, it's not a crime. This is what I would comp it to. And I don't think this is that outrageous at all. And I'll just even though, this is going to sound, I am not comparing myself to Nikola Jokic, but I'm using myself as an example. If you work your entire life for something, you obviously love it. If you work your entire life for something and you get great at it, you obviously have a passion for it. But if you work your entire life for something and it is the focus of your life, after, 10, 15, 20, 30 years of doing it, a new challenge can all of a sudden be more exciting, even without knocking at all, what your main thing is and what has been the pursuit of your life. So that's how I don't view joke like some of the jokes of like Joker just plays basketball to pay the bills. This is his true love. I don't feel that way at all, but I do feel that this is something not new, because he's always been into horses, but an exciting new challenge and something that he hasn't yet mastered. So the reason I said I would compare it to myself is you would, like, if I were to ever win a World Series of Poker bracelet, you would see a level of like emotion and gratification from me that I don't think you could ever see from any like broadcast accomplishment. And that's not because you love your hobby more than you love your main thing. It's because it just activates a different like dopamine and different part of your brain. So that's what I see with Joker. But I do think he has a true passion for his horses. I think he truly, really loves his horses. And I think there's an extra thing when your hobby involves a living creature. You know what I mean? Like where you feel like you have real relationships. 100%. I know that sounds weird, but anybody that's ever had, I've never been
horses I think are really feely animals too. I think they're very personable creatures. So
I would imagine. Yeah. And I was just going to compare it to like if you're hunting's kind of a bad example here because I'm talking about the sacredness of animals. But I was going to say like having a hunting dog. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like a dog that you
train
that
up.
You
100%.
Yeah, that you and
goes
then
out, gets the job done.
Correct. I feel like there's some of this maybe with your snakes, but snakes are so different animals because
not very personable creatures.
They're not personable, and you can't really like read their emotion the way you can so many mammals. Like they can't like with dogs and with horses, sometimes you feel like you can like read the look in their eye, and they certainly can show you
horses like
affection.
Rest their head on your shoulder and stuff. They don't really do that to everybody. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm not mocking Joker at all. I think it's really cool, but I also do think that when there is something you really, really love that you literally can't be a part of at all for the majority of a year, every year, because your job takes you halfway around the world, that does certainly play into the math on how long you plan to do that job. I do feel that way. And so that's, to me, that's the end of the Mav Joker's agent LeBron Instagram caption, which is just a great July topic. Nothing says summer like long days, clutch plays, and firing off a few bets on the game. All day with not all day, I guess you could, but all with DraftKings Sportsbook. As the season heats up, so do the bats, and DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with live betting, home run props, odds boosts, and more. Whether you're chasing dingers or jumping in mid-game, there's always action to be had. Never bet on baseball before? Easy. Pick a guy to go yard, hammer some live odds mid-game, or just ride with your squad and hope for the best. No spreadsheets, just vibes and dingers. Right now, available from our friends at DraftKings. How about the Royals on the money line? Favorites, -126 after last night's tough loss against the Braves. Or this is the one I like, Bobby Witt Jr. 2 or more hits, get plus money, +155. Of course, lines and odds subject to change. Here's something special for first timers. New DraftKings customers, bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Wright. That's code Wright, WRIGHT, for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right, let's talk a little NFL before we get to skinny Luka Damonza.
In a recent interview with Aaron Rodgers, Kyle Brandt called him the best quarterback to ever play the position. So you've had some opinions on Aaron Rodgers in the past.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of him as the best quarterback ever?
Well, so there was a point in time where I thought Aaron Rodgers was the most talented quarterback ever. And I still think he's probably the second most now to Patrick. And there certainly was a point in time where I thought Aaron Rodgers at his apex was the highest level the position had ever been played. So I buy that. But that is such a huge delta between that and the best quarterback to ever play the position. And I thought, listen, credit where it's due. I thought Kyle did a really nice job in that interview, and I thought Aaron came across as downright charming. So, it doesn't change my opinion on what the Steelers season's going to be like, but I thought that was a really good 10 minutes of media. With all that said, this is one of those opinions, Damonza, that I think is not an allowed opinion. I know people don't like when I say that. So they're like, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Certain opinions, there are certain opinions that are so far outside anything that is legitimately arguable that you can't have it. So, there is... Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, I mean, you thought he was why can't... How is that one... How can you not even make that argument? It's a take that you can't have. I don't wonder.
Well, because
you just said,
there is...
You were saying he was the best. You thought he was the most skilled football player. Or quarterback,
at a point in time, but then someone more skilled came along. So, right.
There's just one guy.
Right, so you can't be So here's the problem. The problem is, in order to make an argument that someone is... Let's take basketball for a minute, okay? There are 6 people that you are allowed to have the opinion are the greatest of all time. And it might just be 5, but I'll extend it to 6. And those 6 are, and the reason that I'm saying there's only 6 you're allowed, I really think it's only 3, but I'm trying to be as liberal as possible with this here, is because you can point to something as their thing that they were just the best at, head and shoulders. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hanging it on. So if you want to say Bill Russell's the greatest ever, you can just kind of start and end with the 21-0 in elimination games throughout his career, in winner-take-all games, 11 championships, 8 in a row. It's okay, simple. You want to argue Wilt? It's just dude averaged 50 a game and more than 48 minutes a game in a season, scored 100 points in a game. You know what I mean? Intuitively, you understand the argument for it. Kareem, greatest high school player ever, greatest college player ever, most MVPs of anyone ever, had the super long career, success, all of it. The Jordan LeBron arguments we've all had before. We don't have to get into them right now. It's obvious what those guys are. And then the 6th that I would add, if you really want to squint hard enough, Magic. Greatest passer ever, changed the game, career cut short due to a virus that, that had nothing to do with basketball. The instant impact as a rookie, being the best player in the deciding game of the championship round. Those are the guys. But if someone tries to make the argument, and I'm not picking, let me not even start with him. Someone tries to make the argument, Larry Bird's the greatest player of all time. The problem is there is not a single thing you can say Larry Bird's the greatest at. Not one thing. You know what I mean? If somebody tries to make the argument, Steph is the greatest of all time, there is now there is something you can say he's the greatest at, greatest shooting, but the other gaps in the resume compared to the guys he's competing against prevent it. With Kobe, who some people try to make the case for, the problem is it's very, very hard, if not impossible, to make the argument that Kobe was better than the guy that he modeled himself after in Michael. You know what I mean? Michael has him kind of clocked in every category. So how are we, how are we getting there? So when it comes to the greatest quarterback ever, what is in 2025 the argument for Aaron Rodgers? There isn't one anymore. Oh, his regular season accomplishment with Peyton's got him killed. It's certainly not the winning. And if it's just like I test raw ability, creativity, Mahomes lapped him. So like he has nothing to hang his hat on anymore.
The spiral
so it's
on the
just
ball.
It's just, well, again, Dan Marino might have him in that. There's not there for real. Like, you just have to have, there's got to be something that is ironclad about your case, and then the rest you can massage if you want to have a viable opinion. And so I just thought calling Aaron, who doesn't have the greatest stats of any quarterback ever. They're great, but it's not the best. Doesn't have the most MVPs of any quarterback ever. It's the second most, but it's not the most. Certainly doesn't have the wins. Doesn't have the most raw athleticism of any quarterback ever. Doesn't, and no longer holds the title for, most natural ability. So if you weren't ever the best at anything, how could you be the best ever? It's just not a viable opinion. And so I know that's going to sound dismissive, but it's just not a loud opinion. Sorry. There has to be some standards. We live as I said to the guy 2 years ago who was walking his dog, watched his dog go to the bathroom, look at it, and then walked away. As I said to him, I will say now, we live in a society. You have to do your part. What are you shaking your head about, Damonza? This guy,
society.
This guy, hold on. I know that incident that I'm discussing there is, this guy would every day walk 2 blocks from his house to the block we live on, have his giant
the dog's huge
cane
too,
torso, use the bathroom, and then walk back home. And I finally caught him, and I was like, you know what? We're just gonna have it out, man. And he apologized and then pretended to clean it up and then hurriedly walked away when he thought I was gone. So I chase him down and say, hey, man, we live in a society. I did. I didn't know what else to say. I'm not going to say, like, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to try to just guilt you.
We live in a society. That's it.
We live in a society. Do your part. Well, do your part, man. And in the sports take game, we live in a society. You can't just come out there with takes that are indefensible. I'm not saying the takes have to be right, but you have to be able to defend them. That's all. All right, speaking of indefensible, I guess this is semi-defensible, but I hate it. The Madden rating. Go ahead.
I don't know about indefensible, but the 99 Club came out for Madden 26.
Yeah.
Your guy Mahomes was snubbed. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson are the two. They both have 99 ratings.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? Is this legit? I think it's pretty fair. I think that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are much more Madden-type quarterbacks than Patrick Mahomes is. Like, Patrick Mahomes is more of an improviser. Lamar Jackson's obviously, like, super fast, and Josh Allen's, like, a freak athlete. He's huge, running through dudes. So it's like, as far as games, like, if you want to play Madden, like, you're thinking, like, you would rather play with Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen.
Okay, so that's a really interesting way to look at it. And if that's the argument, that so be it. Listen, Mahomes coming into this year in the 6 Maddens post his first year as a starter, he was a 99 4 times. He was the highest rated quarterback 5 times. The one time he wasn't, He was the third highest rated quarterback behind Brady and Rodgers, and that was after the AFC Championship game loss to Cincinnati, and he responded by having more yards than any player in the history of the league, winning the Super Bowl MVP, winning the regular season MVP, and having arguably the greatest quarterback season anyone's ever had. So I'm not even mad at Madden. Maybe they motivated him. I want to use this as an opportunity. And listen, Josh just won regular season MVP. Had, for a team that a lot of people thought was not going to be good. Some people who had always been called a Bills hater for just being right about the Bills, then last year thought the Bills could be really good, and that person was me. But that it was because of Josh Allen. So it's fine. And Lamar has had basically back-to-back perfect regular seasons. So you want to give him a 99 rating, it's fine. I actually want to use this time here to talk a little bit about Lamar and the Ravens. Because I was on Mina's podcast, and she was agog that I was skeptical of the Ravens. And Mina, said Lamar didn't play poorly in the playoff game, which I find unbelievable. And said that basically she thought I was being unfair to Lamar or the Ravens by not, I guess, chalking up the same exact thing happening every single year to just dumb luck. And said, oh, I didn't know you were a Ravens hater. And this is where, as I said with her, I will break kayfabe for a moment. I adore Mina Kimes. I know I call her my rival that I want to vanquish. I think she's outstanding. It's the only reason I went on a podcast with her at 7 o'clock New York City time on the night before I was going to the Bahamas for a few days. And I think she does great work. But there are two major points I want to make here. The first one is this. At what point does someone stop being a hater if they are constantly one of the only people proven correct? I'm just curious for the media and internet at large. At what point does hating transition to accurate skepticism? Or is the answer never? Is the answer nope? If the whole world acknowledges this guy is just, close to a perfect player who's had a couple perfect regular seasons, who's just bad timing for these awful moments, and now 2023 for Lamar, it was an awful game. 2024, it was not an awful game. It was a couple really awful moments that ruined an otherwise really good game by him. But because I didn't think Lamar was terrible in the divisional round game against Buffalo. What I did think was a guy who was historically good all year about protecting the football, having 2 turnovers in the first 20 minutes of that game, made it to where the best grade he could get for the game's like a C+. And especially because they end up losing. And so the question I truly have, and the question I truly have for the audience is that hating? And I'll use the Bills thing as an example. Every single year, people called me a Bills hater. Now, I was a Bills troll to a degree, And I said drop the banner, and I poked fun, and I did all that stuff. But I was also right every single time. And then this past year, when I thought the pendulum had swung too far in the other direction, and I said, I actually think the Bills are going to be excellent. I think they're once again the biggest threat to the Chiefs. And that's the opposite of hating, and it was just correct, right? So then and yes, guys, when I say Mahomes had the most yards in a single season ever, it's exactly what I'm saying it is. It's total yards for the full season, everything all put together. The most yards any player's ever accounted for was 2022 Patrick Mahomes. So the Lamar stuff to me is interesting because it's not only that I don't think I'm a hater, but I think a lot of other really smart people who cover this league are in willful denial because they like him and because they want it to be different than it is, and because, and this part I really empathize with, because they detest so many of his original actual haters. The people who said he should change positions coming in the league or he'd never be any good or any of that stuff. And so all of that has created this very odd world where folks patronize him a bit in a way they discuss what is the only hole on his resume, but it's the hole that matters the most, which is in that league for that position, how you play in the postseason. And so this is the question that I would just have to everyone. Folks on Ravens Twitter who are mad at me because they think the team is absolutely stacked and I have questions about its receiver position. And folks in the media that think I'm unfair in my skepticism. Because one of the other things that happened when I was talking, again, I think Mina's outstanding. With Mina was Stafford came up. And I talked about how if I were, like I kind of impromptu was talking about how he might be my third pick of any quarterback in the league to have in the postseason. That would go Mahomes, Allen, Stafford. And she seemed legitimately aghast that I was not including Lamar in the math for that. And I was legitimately aghast that she possibly could include Lamar in the math for that specific question. You can have any quarterback for a playoff run. Like, well, I'm not going to pick the guy who's literally never, shown us that he can do that. That would seem silly to me. You might be like, well, Josh hasn't shown it. Josh has had plenty of playoff runs where he's played excellent throughout. Just the team wasn't good enough. We're going to see that from Lamar. But that's fine. This is kind of old hat. We've talked about this each of the last few years because each of the last few years it has gone exactly like this. Unbelievable regular season that I look at with a quizzical eye because I want to see how it works in the postseason. Then Lamar has one of, if not his downright worst game in the postseason. And then everybody has this moment of clarity for about 3 days where after the year, people are like, damn, Nick was right without saying Nick was right. And then come this time of year, it's like, no, this year will be different. So this is my question. Because Ravens Twitter thinks the team is absolutely loaded. So obviously, there shouldn't be any excuses there. But my question in the media is this. If it were to happen again, same beats as the last couple years, is Lamar going to win MVP? He is the MVP. He's top 2 MVP, all of it. And then once again, the Ravens don't play to their seed or don't play to their talent or, and it's because of massive quarterback mistakes early in a playoff game that puts them in a hole that they can't quite dig themselves out of. Will this year then be enough? Is it like, before the sample was too small? Or will it still just be, randomness? Dumb luck of the playoffs. I find it really fascinating because it is absolutely true that the only thing standing between Lamar and being in the discussion, Damonza, as one of the 6 or 7 greatest quarterbacks of all time is one great playoff run. That's all that's standing between. It's just one, because the regular season stuff is so unbelievable. But the only thing standing between him and being in a very unique class of all-time athletes in a not great sense is deja vu all over again one more time. And it makes this year one of the most fascinating. It makes the Ravens and Lamar one of the most fascinating stories of the season. And it also, I'm really excited to watch it. And I am really excited to see how people react, myself included, to how this full season plays out. And so, like, it's back-to-back years. It's all been right there. All been, and that's one other thing I want to say. Because one of the things Mina pointed out was DVOA has, over the last quarter century, Damonza, the two best teams, the two best 5-year stretches by any team to not make a Super Bowl are the last 5 years of the Buffalo Bills and the last 5 years of the Baltimore Ravens. And the point there that Mina made was, basically that's an Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes stat. And it's that these two teams were good enough to be all-time greats. They were just blocked by one of the greatest, if not the greatest duo in NFL history. And I pushed back on that too. Because I think the Bills being on that list is a Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes stat. Because the Bills have lost to the Chiefs 5 times in this stretch. Or I'm sorry, 4 times. I don't know that I feel the Ravens being on that list is a Chiefs stat. Because only one of those years have the Chiefs been the team to block the Ravens. They haven't gotten to that level yet. So we'll see. And listen, you believe in the Ravens this year. Brew believes in the Ravens.
NFL's wide open
Go ahead.
this year. 100%. NFL is wide open this year. See what he does.
Yeah. No, we'll see. I have a feeling it will be like every year. Unbelievable in the regular season. They lose a couple games they probably shouldn't lose that are a little odd, but it is jaw-dropping. And then come the playoffs, we're going to be like, wow, this team sure looks different. Wonder why.
I doubt it.
And then, but listen, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll be wrong. All right, this message applies to 99% of you listening right now because that's how many of you can be covered by fast and reliable service on the Boost mobile network with 99% nationwide coverage. And if you don't think you deserve a deal, listen up. You've got another thing coming. Right now, when you switch to Boost Mobile, you can get iPhone 15 with Dynamic Island and a 48-megapixel main camera for $99.99. That's $99.99 for iPhone 15 on a nationwide 5G network. This may only apply to 99% of you, but I am 100% positive Boost Mobile just gave all of us a really freaking good deal. Reminder, it's an in-store offer. $35 device setup fee may apply. Requires credit qualification, ID verification, activation on $60 plans. Taxes extra. 5G speeds not available in all areas. Also, reminder to you guys, like, rate, subscribe, review. Check out the podcast or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify. I really am trying to get our audio numbers up. If you're watching on YouTube right now, it's really easy. You can just go ahead and click the little follow button or plus button on iTunes or Spotify. And even if you just watch us on YouTube instead, that's fine. But subscribe there as well. That's helpful. And hit the alerts, the thumbs up and the bells and the whistles and all that stuff. All right, let's talk skinny Luka, Damonza.
Luka was on the cover of Men's Health magazine looking very slender. He came out with a quote saying, just visually, I would say that my whole body looks better. How are you feeling about Luka's transition?
So a couple things. One is, first, I pointed this out on TV, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but this to me is one of the main takeaways from the article. Remember how I told you guys AI doesn't know sports and that AI hallucinates sports? This article got marred a bit by the fact that the author included in it an anecdote about how Luka, when he came into the league, had a 42-inch vertical that was measured at the NBA Combine. The problem with that is twofold. One is, anyone that's watched 10 minutes of Luka Doncic at any moment of his career knows he never had a 42-inch vertical. The other problem is Luka Doncic did not go to the Combine. So there is no place to measure his vertical. So what happened there? The most obvious answer, as figured out by some internet sleuths, was if you Googled Luka Doncic vertical, the top AI result was that Luka Doncic had a 42-inch vertical measured at the NBA Combine, which then links you to an article about Dante DiVincenzo's 42-inch vertical at the NBA Combine, but AI hallucinated it. I guess they saw the cha in both names, white guys, same draft class, and they just made it up. So again, I'm not saying AI can't be used for things. I'm not saying it's not, the future, all of that. I am saying for some reason AI does not know sports and can't figure it out. That's first thing. Second thing is this. My other takeaway from that article, Damonza, I'm going to read you a line in it, which I found fascinating. The facility, which is located in the town where Doncic has vacationed every summer since he was a teen. That's important. The facility, which is located in the town where Doncic has vacationed every summer since he was a teen, didn't have weights until earlier this month when he had dumbbells, barbells, weight plates, and med balls trucked in. So here's why that's noteworthy to me. Luka every summer goes back to this town in Slovenia and trains, but his training has always just included hooping. You know what I mean? He plays ball and does drills, all of it.
Yep.
Weight training was never a big part of it for him. And so now you guys know I feel like go ahead.
Oh no, it's just
Go
so
ahead.
cool just being able to get a bus of weights
Oh,
just brought to wherever you're at.
trucked in. Yeah, of course. But I felt that the whiplash effect of, Luka's fat, out of shape, drinking problem was far too strong, considering that without ever being in peak physical condition, he had one of the greatest opening 6-year stretches of a career ever. This is where I am contractually obligated to remind the audience that Luka Doncic already has made more first-team All-NBAs than either Steph Curry or Chris Paul, and only has one less than Kevin freaking Durant. He's 26 years old. That's how great he's been. Now, he did have a down year, and part of it was he was a little out of shape. He was also sad. He also got hurt. He also got traded. And all of those things. So I think that is important. It's not giving him an excuse, but I just thought 12 months ago today, before Luka got hurt, before Luka got traded, when Luka was coming off a finals appearance, nobody thought, And he had beaten in round 2 Shea and in round 3 Anthony Edwards and had averaged 34, 9, and 10 in the regular season. Nobody thought Shea or Anthony Edwards was better than him. Now, I think it's like conventional wisdom that those guys are better than him. And Shea certainly has earned it, I guess. Anthony, I don't think quite has, but whatever. The point I'm making is this. Luka in non-tip-top physical condition was already well on his way to being one of the greatest players ever. Luka like this should be the early favorite for league MVP.
Well, you don't think with his play style that him being a little bit thinner might affect it? Like,
so I don't think
he's like
going
a slow kind of get you on his hip.
Yeah, but I think that if he is, I don't think he's going to be skinny. I think he's going to be lean. You know what I mean? I think if you just replace some of what was clear with the Lakers, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I would bet he weighs about the same, but looks
I mean,
better.
if not more. Yeah, I mean, muscle weighs more than fat.
Right.
But I mean, he looks a lot thinner than he was.
He looks a lot thinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think you want actually skinny Luka.
Right.
But thinner Luka, I think is helpful. And I think that he has taken this, what happened last year to heart. And this was the thing that I warned the Mavs about after the trade. That even if they were going to be right, they're going to be wrong. Even if they were right, that if they didn't trade him and they signed him to an extension, he was just going to get fat and out of shape and all these things. By trading him and motivating him and insulting him, they then put this extra chip on his shoulder. Now, people can say, why didn't he do it during the year? I don't think you can do this type of thing during a season. You know what I mean? I think you have to. You need an off season. And he's about to be playing a ton of ball at Eurobasket for Slovenia. And right now, he would be my early season pick to win league MVP next year. And
if he just torches Dallas every single time they play and it just doesn't even matter.
God, I can't wait. I just can't wait if that were to happen. Also, by the way, shout out to Marco in the chat watching from Slovenia.
Yes, sir.
Shout out Marco. Very cool. All right, summer's coming in hot, literally. If there's one thing you shouldn't mess around with this summer, it's your deodorant. Mando deodorant and sweat control is built for this season. It's literally going to be like 100 degrees in New York City today. It blocks odor all day, controls sweat too. Whether I'm grilling in 90-degree weather, heading to a baseball game, or going for a run or a bike ride, Mando keeps me fresh and dry. It's one of the worst feelings in the world when you realize, do I smell? With Mando, you have zero concerns because I know I'll smell great and it will last all day. Mando's starter pack, which they sent me, it's great. It's perfect for new customers. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash or deodorant and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. It's a special offer for our listeners. New customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code WRIGHT, WRIGHT, at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide and free shipping. If you missed it the first time, let me tell you again, special offer for listeners. New customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code WRIGHT at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide and free shipping. That's shopmando.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered. Protect your pits. Smell great doing it. All right, Damonza, before we get to the listener questions, let's do Matt Stafford here, and then we can get to the listeners.
Yeah, so Matt Stafford has been dealing with some back soreness and is set to miss another week of camp. You've been high on the Rams. Does this affect it at all? I think the guy just doesn't want to go to training camp. He's older.
I hope that's it. That would be great. That would be an awesome result here. If it's just old guy doesn't want to practice. So here is, before training camp, there was one story of potential contender that hit my radar. And that was the CJ Stroud shoulder soreness. I was like, ooh, that's something to watch. CJ Stroud, like that he wasn't able to do full throwing practice or whatever. I'm like, that's something to watch. That seems to have subsided, okay? But it hit my radar. In training camp, we've been lucky so far, fingers crossed. There hasn't been the devastating superstar injury, and there hasn't been the contender that has just been hit with a bunch of, contributor injuries, at least not yet. So there have been, to me, 2 major stories out of training camp so far for contenders. One is a positive one is a worrisome one. The positive one, and people can say this is, Chiefs colored glasses, but I'm not wrong about this. The Chiefs rookie first round pick, who was considered a top 10 talent, who fell because people thought his knee was not right and he might not be healthy for a good portion of his rookie year. Not only being healthy the first day of camp, but being slotted as the starting left tackle, not competing with Jalen Moore, who they signed to be the left tackle for that spot, and just being their left tackle from day one of camp to right now, is one of the biggest positive stories for any true contender this training camp. Because if they have that spot locked down, and then you have Jalen Moore, the guy they signed from San Francisco, and Jawan Taylor, the right tackle who's been a bit of a disappointment with Kansas City since they signed him from Jacksonville, competing on the right side, then all of a sudden the Chiefs' offensive line is totally different. So, and everyone agreed that Josh Simmons had the talent to potentially be the number 1 tackle in his draft class, but the injury was so worrisome he slid. If the knee is really right, then the Chiefs taking care of one of the most important and one of the most expensive spots in football by drafting a guy at 32 is a game changer. That's in the positive direction for a contender. In a negative direction for a contender, it's this Stafford story. Because aside from confidence for your team's secondary, there is nothing positive that comes out of Jimmy G practicing and playing in training camp. And you need desperately a healthy Matt Stafford in order to contend. And I think the Rams can contend. I like now poor Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I was
He's
just
like, you got to be kidding me. I got Jimmy G throwing me the ball again. I love Puka. I really like their D-line. I obviously love McVay. I think Devontae is good as a number 2 with the Rams, but it all comes undone without Stafford. And Stafford is 37. He got the shit kicked out of him for a decade in Detroit. He has been banged up at times with the Rams. It's not the biggest story, but I am not going to ignore it as a potential big story. So it's just something to watch. All right, let's reminder, like, rate, subscribe, review. Let's get some listener questions to Monze.
Curtis asks, are the Vikings the NFC's versions of the Chiefs? Great ownership, well run. They have their Andy Reid and Kevin O'Connell. And now JJ is looking like the next Mahomes based off training camp.
This is one of the worst. I honestly think this might be one of the worst listener questions ever. I'm not yet ready to call Kevin O'Connell Andy Reid. Andy Reid in his first stop coaching early in his career, early in his tenure in Philadelphia, made 4 consecutive NFC championship games. Kevin O'Connell is 0-2 up to this point in his career in the postseason, and those losses have come to Daniel Jones and who was it last year? Was it Jaden Daniels? And I don't know that JJ is looking great in camp. So I now where they are like the Chiefs in that they had a solid starting quarterback in Cousins and then I guess Darnold as well. But they wanted higher upside, so they drafted, they drafted a kid and said, we're going to roll the dice, but that's where the comparisons sadly end. All right, next.
Brandon
They lost
asked,
to the Rams in round one, not to the Washington. Go ahead.
Brandon asked, Nick, would you say Joker is the player in the NBA in which you changed your opinion the most on? Just in the fact that you were big time late to the all-time great party on him.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And yeah,
right
I
when
did.
we first started the pod was when you
when he just won all the MVPs despite having none of the accomplishments, which I still don't love. But yeah, I mean he is an all-time great, and he does have the accomplishments now. And I also find him really endearing. So yes, there's no question he's the player I've changed my opinion on the most. Dude. Well, and in the other direction, it's Harden, because for a long time I was a Harden defender. I was like, cut him slack.
That's
because
surprising.
Nobody could beat the Warriors.
Honestly.
You know what I mean? I thought his regular season dominance was like underrated, but then it was just
Lamar Jackson.
I know. So maybe that's one of the reasons I'm so hard on Lamar is because I got burnt by Harden, because I was like, it's not gonna happen every year, but then it did. All right.
I honestly think James Harden's meltdowns in the postseason are worse than Lamar Jackson's, though. I will say that. I said they're the same thing, but
probably.
But yeah.
And there's certainly more of them.
Right. Tan Man asks, is there anything Bryce Young can do this season to change your opinion on him?
Yeah, be good. Yeah, of course. If he's good, it will change my opinion of him. That's all. I just don't think he is going to be able to be good for a 17-game season at his size. That's it. I could be wrong. The games and results matter. So yes, guys can change my opinion of them. He has to be good. Next.
Chris asks, I was listening to Thursday's episode of First Things First, and you were talking about your hurt skepticism being because of his great pieces. Why don't we give the same treatment to Burrow?
So here's the thing. I think that Burrow does get a bit of the curve of he has these great receivers, but not to the same degree that Hurts has. Now, I think that's fair in this regard. Burrow has two great receivers, the best duo in football. Hurts has two great receivers, the second or third best duo in football. Burrow's, though, I would say are better. But then Hurts also has, compared to Burrow, exponentially a better offensive line and exponentially a better running game. So, that's part of it. But the other piece of it is, fair or not, man, for a lot of people, a huge piece of how they judge a quarterback is 3rd and 9. Can he pick it up for me with a dart? And that is the one piece of Jalen's game that people still have some question of. Fair or not, they have some question of, and no one has any question of it with Burrow. So that's the answer to that question. All right, next.
Fair. Noah asks, when you and Danny were doing radio together back in the day, did you ever talk about one day being on TV together, or was that never a thought?
Never a thought. He and I both thought we were radio lifers. Yeah, I mean, we certainly always talked about, working together and doing stuff and collaborating. But yeah, I mean, TV, the TV piece of this is one of the more shocking kind of turn of events of my professional life, to be totally honest. All right, last one.
Joel asks, where did Nick go fishing? Saw the mahis and what's the story? I'm a bit of a fisherman myself, so fisherman to fisherman.
So how did he see the mahis? I'm trying to figure out. Did your mom post it, Damonza? Did we put it on the pod? And I was about
to say it might have been something podcast.
Oh,
related.
You know what? I know what it was. The walk-in video from First Things First yesterday.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. And I held up my phone. I was in the Bahamas for a couple days, and we didn't have the show Friday, and so I went down. I've got to tell. Oh, I'll end the story on this. I have to tell you this. This is unbelievable. So I had an amazing time in the Bahamas, by the way. Shout out to the people of the Bahamas who are huge First Things First viewers.
Hell yeah.
The people, they couldn't believe it. Shockingly popular amongst the workers. It was crazy. But so, short version of this story, as best as I can, because I got to go. Because I'm going on the herd today with Danny, actually, which is really cool. A year ago, I won Hank Azaria's charity poker tournament with the Mets. It was at Citi Field. It was like 100 people playing. I won it. Top prize was 4 days in a super nice suite at Baha Mar in the Bahamas. Okay? I then kind of forgot about it. And then found out that that thing was going to expire in like a month. So I reached out to Baha Mar. I was like, hey, I have this certificate. I'd like to use it this coming weekend. They're like, oh, that suite that you're supposed to have is not available the days you're talking about, but a different one might be, and blah, blah, blah. So we go back and forth. And ultimately, they're like, listen, they were super nice and super helpful, and shout out to them. They're like, we can give you the suite for Sunday to Wednesday. But I obviously got to be at work. But your mom and sister could go. So I'm like, all right, I'll go down Friday and leave Sunday afternoon. Your mom and sister can come down Sunday morning, have a little mother-daughter 4 days in the Bahamas, and they can use the suite anyway because there's 2 of them. There's just 1 of me. I'll just get whatever the cheapest room possible is. And so I went down there for 2 days by myself. Golfed twice on Friday. Went fishing. That's where I caught the mahi-mahi. Gambled. Ate by myself. It was great. Met a guy named Alan who used to be an investment banker, made a bunch of money, and now is a literal treasure hunter. Like literally, like hires crews to like scour the ocean floor, and he's making a TV show about it, looking for a $30 billion wreck somewhere. Like, it's really cool. So I had a great time. I then pick your mom and sister up from the airport, driving back. We have lunch, and then I go to the airport. Your mom then FaceTimes me and shows me the room that I won in this poker tournament, but I did not set foot in. This room, Damonza, this hotel room, has a pool table, 2 kitchens, a theater, a Peloton, 4 balconies, 24-hour butlers to help set things up for you. It is, I realized after the fact, the reason this was a prize in the charity poker tournament was someone, I think, who was in the charity poker tournament, is a casino whale and gets comps. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, because they want you to come down and gamble or whatever, and so they had them include it. It might be the nicest hotel room I've ever seen in my life. I'm not using it. Your mom and sister, it could fit 10 people. It's just your mom and sister. You're like, your mom called me. She's like, I texted the butler. He set up a massage and reservations for us, and we're doing this. I'm like, this is unbelievable. Wow. They're just living the life. Please. But I do have to say, no free ads. But I would do ads for Baha Mar. That place was great. I'd never been there. I'd been to Atlantis a few times because that's where the World Series of Poker is. The World Series of Poker Paradise, same island, but, different part of it. I'd never been there. We should go sometime. Damonza, the next time you come to New York, because it's a short flight, I'd go again for just 2 days. It was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Same. We went. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, we'd never been to the Bahamas.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the area.
We went to
Caribbean. In the Caribbean.
Well, it's all in the Caribbean. We went. What you're thinking of is Grand Cayman. We went to Grand Cayman, but we didn't go to the Bahamas. But it also has, and I didn't take advantage of it, like a massive water park, a bunch of slides, everything. All right, no more free ads. I'm not
lazy river. Or just like, was there a lazy
river too? Everything. It was pretty sick.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, in short flight from New York. All right, I will say, Volume and Blue Duck folks, let's send this off to the Baha Mar people. Say, this is the one free ad they're getting, I guess. But let's get a partnership going. All right, like, rate, subscribe, review. Thank you to Volume, Blue Duck, DraftKings, Boost Mobile, Mando, all that. I will see you guys on I'm with Danny Parkins in a little more than an hour. What's right?